Hey everybody, hope you all are doing well out there. I've got a fiction class for you all today. Today I wrote from a prompt, um, and I thought that this prompt was pretty interesting. So I will share that with you all now to see, hopefully, that you all find it as interesting as I did. The name of this prompt is, or the way that this prompt goes, I should say, is he wanted to tell him how much he loved him, but ... Okay, so there's a lot of different ways that you can approach writing from a prompt. I find that sometimes, because this is a short fiction class, it's really fun to create a whole new world, or create characters or people that you may want to get to know better in your mind's eye, if it were. But I also find that pulling from your everyday experiences is really important to ground your fiction writing. So whenever we're writing fiction, which is made up stories that didn't really happen, I always find it important to add in a few little details of stuff that has really happened to me, that I've lived through, or that people I know have lived through. It doesn't always have to be your own experiences that you're pulling from, but you can pull from stories that you've heard as well. So I'm going to read you guys my short piece of fiction today, which very much is about words. As a creative writing, instructor for you all, I've been having good days and bad days with my search for the right words. And that's what this piece very much became about. So we'll read this to you guys, and then I'll go back through and explain as best I can how I got to where I got to. He wanted to tell him how much he loved him, but the words in his head were never in the right order, and they were never the right words. Maybe he could just start with the wrong words in the wrong order and find his way to the right ones. Maybe not. The brothers hardly had enough time together these days anyway. And would his brother even be in a place to hear him? Sometimes words are inadequate. They rarely express what needs to be expressed. In that sense, every writer is in a state of perpetual failure. Yet, writers continue to write every day. And every day, new ones pop up in all sorts of places. They strive to say what needs to be said in whatever ways they can on that day. So in another way, the search for the right words or the right order is a mirage. We must find a way to do the best with what we got. So this piece is sort of a contemplation on trying to tell someone that you love them or how much you love them. And when it comes to matters of the heart, I find that words often are elusive. I can't quite grasp them. I can't quite track them down. And so that's where my springboard was for getting into this prompt. Again, the prompt that I started with was just this half of a sentence. He wanted to tell him how much he loved him, but And then you get to continue that sentence. All right, so my first thought here. The words in his head were never in the right order. I'm sure that many of you have experienced similar frustrations where you feel like you know what you want to say, and maybe even in the process of trying to say it, you realize that the order of things is not the way that they were as a thought. There's a very different thing that is going on when we have a thought that we want to share. And then when we go to share that thought, we have to translate that thought into words so that other people can understand the thought that we were thinking. But in that translation, sometimes the words that come out don't really represent the thought the way we wanted them to. We have to try it several times, or at least I know I do. So this is where I kind of am going with this idea. The words sometimes are in the wrong order in our heads, or sometimes they're not even the right words. We think we know what we want to say, and we start saying it perhaps, or we start writing it perhaps, and even as we get started, we realize, man, that's not going to say what I want it to say. So that's where I pose the option next in this little story. Maybe he could just start with the wrong words in the wrong order and find his way to the right ones. Maybe not. So that's my attempt at saying that, sometimes it helps just to get started and figure out. Sometimes you have to expel some of the wrong words or some of the wrong ideas in order to get to the right ones. A lot of us call that talking around something. We're trying to say something direct and specific, but sometimes we have to talk around it to actually get to it. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. So that's why I tacked in that little maybe not. And then our story, I revealed that the he characters in our story are brothers. So the brothers hardly had enough time together these days anyway. And would his brother even be in a place to hear him? So sometimes this part of the story, I guess I'm imagining that even when you have something good that you want to share, like love, but you don't have the right words for it yet, sometimes I find myself wondering if the person I want to share those words with is even ready to hear those words, which is a very, very familiar feeling. I'm sure all of us have felt that, where we've needed to say something to somebody else, but they weren't in a place where they were ready to hear it. And that takes a special sensitivity to be able to figure out that moment. Sometime, and then moving on in my story, sometimes words are inadequate. They rarely express what needs to be expressed. So what I'm trying to say here with that sentence is that the words that we all find to describe feelings of any kind don't quite get to the potency of those feelings. And it's really easy to kind of throw your hands up and just say, why even bother? It's not going to come out the way I want it to anyway, and these words are inadequate for what I'm trying to say. Well, to that, I would say, moving on in our story, if you give into that impulse of like, why would I even bother? That's where this next line for me comes up. In that sense, every writer is in a perpetual state of failure. Yet, writers continue to write every day. And every day, new ones pop up in all sorts of places. They strive to say what needs to be said in whatever ways they can on that day. So this is a larger thought. I'm taking a larger chunk from my story and reading it to you all, in trying to express that every time, good writers and writers that are learning to become good writers, or writers that are wishing they were better writers, I think that most writers struggle with not being satisfied with what it is they've written down and wanting it to express more directly or more poetically or more potently the thing that they're trying to express in that moment. But I think it's really important for writers to remember that you kind of have to play the hand you're dealt on each day. And if you get lost in what I imagined my writing piece to be today and it not living up to that, it can get very frustrating. And I want to acknowledge that even I, who think of myself as a writer and pretty good at it sometimes, even I get frustrated, you guys. So I'm sure if any of you have had these moments, I just want you to know you're not alone. Okay, we all hit walls. They call it writer's block sometimes, where we can't get the thought out that we really want to get out. And I think it's important, this last sentence that I just read, they strive, and I'm talking about writers in general, strive to say what needs to be said in whatever ways they can on that day. So maybe tomorrow I might come up with some better words and better ways to say it. But today I'm going to strive to say whatever I can, what I need to say as a writer in whatever ways I can. In that way, the search for the right words or the right order is a mirage. And by that I mean mirages are something that people see in the desert when they've been lost for a long time, and they're looking and they're looking and they're looking for some sort of civilization or some sort of sign that they're not lost in the desert anymore. And sometimes people feel like they see something out in the distance because they've been looking for it so hard for so long. And really, it's that person wanting to see something that makes their mind think that they saw it when it's actually not there. And that's where I ultimately am coming down on this idea of having, there really is no such thing as the right words or the right order of the words. All of that is very much a mirage that I think a lot of writers chase. And it's only in really letting go of what you wanted the right way to be that we start to just be okay with what we've got. And that's a really important thing I think all of us can hold on to in these times especially. And I appreciated the last line that I came up with for this. And I hope that this is something that all of you can carry with you today. We must find a way to do the best with what we've got. I'm sure you've all heard many different versions of that throughout your lives. But I think it's really important in these times, especially, for us to find ways to do the best with what we've got. Okay, so there's my short story for the day about trying to express deep emotions and feelings with words, and sometimes feeling like you haven't come up with the right words or the right order or the right way to really express it, and to give yourself permission to be okay with where you're at and what words are coming to you today. And those words are not wrong. and the order of them is not wrong. It's a progress. Okay, each day we find different ways to progress, and sometimes it's big ways, and sometimes it's little ways. And each time we go to write something down and to really try to express our feelings, what's on the inside, and putting it onto a page, there's going to be frustrations. There's going to be moments where it doesn't come out the way that you imagined it might. And I want you all to find a way to do the best with what you got. Okay, I'm trying to follow that myself. So I hope this finds you all in a good place, and I hope that you guys are writing on your own. I hope that you, if this prompt doesn't excite you, I hope that you find some other prompt to get your motor turning, and just write. You know, I think that's the best advice I can give any budding young writers, is just keep at it. Okay, keep writing. There's going to be good days and there's going to be tough days, and just keep doing it, because it's a very, very worthwhile exercise. And it's I think it's healthy to just write and write and write, and then write some more. All right, you guys. I'll check in with you guys next week. I hope you all are well.